All right, welcome. Happy Friday. So today, I don't know about you, but I have been watching way too many YouTube videos. Also, just too many of these like shorts, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram or something. And my feed is just full of fitness advice, and some of it is awesome, and some of it is like, what? So I just want to show you what we're going to do today is we're going to go through some videos that have been coming up for me and just talk about them and just talk a little bit about, what's good advice, and I'm just going to share my perspective on some of the things that I'm hearing. All right? How's that sound? Fun? Okay, so if you don't know me, my name's Alexis. This is the Next Fitness Show. It's part of the Next Fitness thing. We're a wellness platform that is mostly live, actually. I'm doing this video live right now. But we have live classes. We have lots of classes all week, and you can check us out at thenextfitnessthing.com. You can also check us out on socials and just find us at the Next Fitness Thing, or on TikTok, it's Next Fitness Thing. Okay, so without further ado, let's do it. Um, we we are gonna start. Let's see. I'm also doing all the tech of the show live, so just saying I can do it. All right. So if you're here live right now, say hey. I would love to know who's here. I can tell that there's a bunch of people here, but I can't see who it is. I can see Megan saying happy Friday, and Aaron is saying hello. So hello, great to see you. All right, let's do it. All right, let's make. Hopefully this tech works great. It's gonna be great. Here we go. I shared the whole screen so you can see the account and everything. So shout out to all these people. I don't want to be talking smack on anyone. I'm not here to shame anyone or to say anybody's giving bad advice. I think it's just important for us to actually be having these conversations. And so that's really what this is about. All right, let's do it.
If you eat less and move more, you'll lose weight. If you eat less, move more, and eat plenty of protein, you'll lose body fat. If you eat less, move more, eat plenty of protein, and strength train, you'll lose body fat and build muscle. If you eat less and move
All
more,
right, that's it. What do you think? If you eat less and move more, you lose weight. Is that true? I mean, theoretically, that's what they've been telling us. Is that actually true? I think that it can be true, and it's often more complicated than that. The next thing here, we can actually watch this more than once. Let's do it. The first thing they say is this is an AI voice, so I'm sure that this is like, her saying this.
and eat plenty of protein, you'll lose body fat.
Okay, I do think this is an important distinction. First thing she says is if you eat less and move more, you lose weight. But if you eat less and move more and eat plenty of protein, you lose body fat. Okay, I'm not sure I agree with this claim, but I do think it's important that she's making the distinction between just losing weight and losing body fat because they're not the same thing, right? And I'd be really curious to hear from you if you make the distinction in your head between losing weight and losing body fat. Because just losing weight could mean losing muscle, it could mean losing bone, it could mean losing organ tissue, it could be cutting your hair.
If you eat less, move more, eat plenty of protein, and strength train, you'll lose body fat and build muscle.
Okay, that's the other thing. If you eat less, move more, eat plenty of protein, and strength train, will you build muscle? I would say that depends. How are you strength training? Are you strength training in a way that's effective? Then yes. But if you're not doing progressive overload and actually challenging yourself, are you actually going to build muscle? Not necessarily, honestly. So I think that this kind of thing, it's like the video kind of feels like it's mostly about seeing her abs, and at the same time, that's fine. If that's what you want to do is show your abs, that's cool. But like eating less, the idea that eating less is what's going to get you to your goal, I think is really, really problematic. And I understand that the video is actually showing eating pretty healthy food in general, but like eating less isn't actually the goal. Eating less is not the goal. So, anyway, that's my take on that. I would love to hear. Aaron says, sounds great. Kelly says, hi. Mom says, mom's here, ready to learn. All right. Yep, Megan's agreeing with me. I'm not a fan of the eat less part. I agree. I don't. Eating less is problematic to me. I'm really not really with this eat less situation. It's like eat more nourishing food, eat better. You could say better. I mean, that's kind of making it better and worse. I'm not sure I'm with that completely, but it's probably better than eating less. Um, Aaron says, I wish it was that simple. Totally. I mean, exactly. Exactly. I wish it was that simple. Mom says if you don't eat, your body loses water and muscle. Yeah, if you don't eat enough, your body's going to hold on to weight. Is what's actually going to happen. So I think this is an oversimplification. There may be some people that need to hear this, and I am not one of them. Let's just say that. Okay. Um, Here, this next video is I let's move on. I'll show you this next one. Okay, here we go.
What you eat before and after your workouts are completely different. So before your workouts, you want to have something that's easily digestible and can be broken down so that you can use that energy throughout your exercises. So this is going to be more so like your carbs, your fats. So something along the lines of like a rice cake with peanut butter, some banana slices, and a drizzle of honey is going to be perfect. Then after your workouts is when you want to have your protein. So your protein shakes, your chicken breast, your salmon, because when you work out, you're breaking down your muscles and protein is going to help build the muscles back up. What you eat before and after your workouts are completely different.
Okay, that's the video. All right, how are we feeling about this? I think this is actually a really important thing to talk about. And I agree with her. What you eat before you work out and what you eat after you work out are not the same. So I love bringing up this topic. I think that she's bringing up a really good point that what you eat before you work out, you want to make sure it's something easily digestible so that you don't just have this heavy food sitting in your stomach that's not, and then your body's trying to do work to digest, and it's also trying to do work in your workout, and you're feeling like maybe nauseous or sluggish, and there's this war going on of where the energy is going. So I think this um, concept of eating something easily digestible before you work out is awesome. I also love the call out of eating protein after. This is a crucial thing that I think a lot of people aren't doing. And eating protein, my understanding from the education that I've been getting recently is that eating protein, especially for women, is important and most effective within 30 minutes after strength training. That's so soon? After 30 minutes? I don't even get home within 30 minutes. So, she does mention protein shakes first, which, I mean, I wouldn't say that for me that's like the go-to protein, but of course, if you need to eat protein within 30 minutes after your workout, maybe that's what you need to do. But yes, eating some kind of protein within 30 minutes of especially strength training is going to make it so that the muscle has the amino acids it needs to be able to build and to repair. So, I would love to know what you eat before and after you work out. What's your go-to for before, and then what do you eat after? For me, my go-to before I work out usually is a banana. Honestly, that's what I eat. Sometimes I'll have a little nut butter with it if I need it to be a little bit more satiating. Um, I I heard her say rice cakes. I personally just rice cakes feels like diet food, so I never would buy that. Like I don't I don't have like a problem with the concept of anyone else eating rice cakes. Just like that's just me. But and then after I work out, I usually try to have some kind of meat that's already ready for me. So lately we've been keeping chicken breast cooked in the fridge. I often have like either a chicken salad or a tuna salad that's already made and in the fridge so that that way it's easy to grab and easy to immediately eat. And I would love to hear from you. What in the morning I usually eat eggs, and so I'll work out first in the morning and then I eat eggs after that so that that's my protein. um, so I'd love to know what you're eating before and after you work out. Put that in the chat. Let's hear it. Um, Megan says, I like this one. Aaron says, it sounds like it makes sense. Yep. Mom says coffee. Well, coffee before you work out, I actually think that's a completely legit pre workout. It absolutely is. Um, Mom says it wakes me up and moves my body. Yeah, totally. Coffee as a pre workout, I mean, I would rather. you have coffee, then have some chemical concoction of pre-workout. So go for it. Coffee, great. Megan says, depending on my workout, I have to be careful because I almost always get sluggish, so the timing has to be right. Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. I think in the video she said something like an hour before. You gotta kind of attune to your body to know how long before, so that it's long enough that you actually got the fuel for the workout. But it's not like so long that you're gonna have to go to the bathroom in the middle of your workout or something, you know. Um, Erin says, I eat dinner after workouting. Good, good. And Megan says, this is why I like a lunchtime workout because I eat right after it's done. Totally. 100% with you. Yep, yep. I generally, I am usually not an early morning workout person. I like in the evening. My life right now is not that conducive to that. So, like, afternoon is kind of good. Okay, let's move on. Next one. We are going here.
Is there a certain type of workout routine that everybody should partake in?
150 to 200 minutes per week of zone 2 cardio is going to be required for health. That could be in the form of swimming, walking on the treadmill. Ideally, you do it outside if it's fast walking or incline walking. And as you get older, it's not just about keeping your heart healthy. It's also about maintaining tissue health and not being injured. A lot of women think, oh, I don't want to get too big. One way to get really strong without getting big is actually to train very heavy in the low repetition range of 3 to 5 repetitions, which will make muscles and connective tissue strong without making it grow very much.
You will get stronger by doing heavier low rep sets, but you may not get as big.
Correct.
You will get bigger by doing lighter but high rep sets.
As provided you go to failure. So if you're going to train in the gym, don't look in the mirror. Don't think about moving weights. Think about challenging muscles.
Is there a certain type of workout routine?
All right, there's a lot there. I want to hear what you have to say about that. What do you think about this? That's Andrew Huberman. He's like totally famous. I believe he's associated with Stanford. But if you see him and you, I think that he's a really valuable, educated person to at least see what he's saying, whether you agree with him or not. But I personally think that a lot of what he's saying is fairly sound. Um, so, okay, let's break down the different parts of what he said. Let's start. I'm going to play it one more time and let's just start from the beginning. So, breaking it down from the beginning. Here we go.
That everybody should partake in?
150 to 200 minutes per week of zone 2 cardio is going to be required for health. That could be in the form of swimming, walking on the treadmill. Ideally, you do it outside if it's fast walking or incline walking. And as you get older, it's not just about keeping your heart healthy. It's
Okay, so zone 2 cardio, 150 to 200 minutes a week of zone 2 cardio. What's zone 2 cardio? Zone 2 cardio in like Next Fitness Thing language is medium pace. Okay, so it's like cardio where you feel like you're working out, but you could do it for a long time. It doesn't mean a sprint. It doesn't mean that you are even at fast pace or race pace. It means that you're going at a pace where you could talk, but you still feel like you're working out. He's saying 200 minutes a week of that. 200 minutes. That's a lot. That's actually kind of a lot. So I personally think that that's good advice. I mean, he's basically, it sounds like he means it as far as like do it as a workout. I don't think it has to be as a workout. It probably also counts. I mean, not probably. It also counts if you're doing that cardio in your life. Like, so I would say this is consistent with people having step goals and things like that. I think naming that it's zone 2 cardio and not zone 1 cardio is pretty important. Like, we're not just strolling, it's actually feeling like you're going to break a sweat for 200 minutes a week. So I think this is not very like controversial advice. It's pretty standard. Aaron says that's 30 minutes a day. Right. That's also like completely consistent with the CDC guidelines. CDC guidelines are 25 minutes a day, which is exactly why we made our classes 25 minutes, is because if you do 25 minutes a day of walking, you are hitting the bare minimum of CDC guidelines for exercise per week. Okay, next, let's keep going with this because there's a lot more going on in this video. All right, next piece here.
also about maintaining tissue health and not being injured. A lot of women think, oh, I don't want to get
Okay, maintaining tissue health, not being injured, good advice. Of course, that's what we want, right?
Too big. One way to get really strong without getting big is actually to train very heavy in the low repetition range of 3 to 5 repetitions, which will make muscles and connective tissue strong without making it grow very much.
You will get stronger by doing heavier low rep sets, but you may not get as big.
Correct.
You will get bigger by doing lighter but high rep sets.
As provided you go to failure. So if you're going
Okay, that is really different than what most people are doing and thinking. Okay. So I know from training a lot of people, what you think is if you don't lift heavy, you won't, like, if you lift heavy, you'll get big. And if you lift light, you won't. And he said the exact opposite. He said that if you lift light for tons and tons of reps, and you have to go to failure, and you have to go to failure, that's going to be what is going to make you get bigger from working out. And that if you don't want to get big, but you do want to get strong, the best thing to do is 3 to 5 reps heavy. Heavy. Now, if we're talking a lot of reps, we're not talking like 15, 20. We're talking like 15 plus. Like we're not talking like 45 seconds. We're talking about, like, you know, light weights for a lot of reps is going to be a lot of reps to failure. So all I'm saying here is that lifting heavy is good, and lifting heavy is going to be the best thing to make you strong and also to not get big. Of course, you have to do it in a graduated way and in a sustainable way. And I'm not talking about hurting yourself or anything like that, but it's not going to make you big, even if you might think it will. Okay. So my question for you here is, how do you know if you're lifting heavy enough? How do you know? How do you know if you are lifting heavy enough? That's what I want to know. So put that in the chat. Let me know. How do you personally know if you are lifting heavy enough? Okay, and that said, let me see. The time has come right now for our stretch break. All right, so we're taking a little stretch break right here. I encourage you to actually do this stretch along with us here. Our stretch today is coming from Pilates, and this is the Pilates spine stretch. You can do this while you're sitting in your chair. You could do this if you're sitting you can sit on the floor and do it. You can do it standing up. The idea here is articulation of your spine. So you can see Veronica, she actually starts from the bottom of her spine to roll down. So she's rolling her lower back, middle back, upper back, stretching forward and rolling up, 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 up. Good. Now, you can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but Veronica is like a professional dancer. She can reach way, way, way past her toes if she wants to. That's not the point of this. The point of this is flexing your spine and coming back up to neutral. This is the spine stretch. It's not intended as a hamstring stretch. So you round your spine and roll it forward as you reach, and you roll it up. Nice. And so this is really good for spinal mobility. It's great if you are sitting down a lot. It's also great for you to be able to find the neutral spine at the top. And if you're just been sitting still and not really moving around a lot, this one's totally for you. So last one, if you're doing this with us, come on up and time. Okay, spine stretch. Love it. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, we're going back into our videos. Let's go. Here's the next one. Uh-oh, it's loading. Come on, you could do it.
So
There it is.
if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would have been like, you need to eat, you need to recover, you need to eat, you need to recover. Instead of the mantra of calories in, calories out, more cardio, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. Because now I educate people as you want to take up space, you want to be strong, you want to look at not the idea of losing something, but gaining something, gaining that power, gaining that strength, gaining that bone, gaining that muscle, gaining your period. Those are the things that I'm trying to educate the younger generation, because that was not impressed upon me as a younger athlete, which then had a lot of repercussions later in life.
Okay. So this is Stacy Sims. If you don't know who she is, this is Stacy Sims. Stacy Sims is a researcher. She's also a badass endurance athlete and she's an author. But she researches sex differences. So the difference between men and women when it comes to performance. So when it comes to fitness training and diet and that kind of thing. So she is actually like one of I absolutely love her, and I really find she's one of the only people who you can find, like, you know, real studies done on women with data that are telling you how to train a woman's body because so many things that so many things, including birth control, are tested on men. They test it on men, not on women. And then they tell it, this is the general truth. And because women's menstrual cycle is inconvenient for academic study. Yeah. So, anyway, what Stacey Sims is saying here is you need to eat enough. It's not just calories in, calories out. If you don't have enough calories in your body, then you're going to have setbacks. She's also saying you need to recover. So you need to eat enough and you need to recover. Of course, it's important of what you're eating and you need to be eating healthy food. But at the same time, she is not advocating calories in, calories out. And I think that's a really important thing that, to hear from someone who's an expert, especially in women's health, to understand that calories in, calories out is an oversimplification. Megan says, Amen, sister, right? Totally. 100%. Mom says, look at those arms. Heavy weights or many reps with light. She is all about heavy. She's all about going heavy. I have one more video from her later, but just saying, Stacy Sims really advocates for lifting heavy and for basically training keeping your cortisol down. So if you know how we were talking about Andrew Huberman and how he was saying zone 2 cardio, it's important, like she's talking a lot about how you want to stay in that like zone 2 range for most of your training because it keeps your cortisol low. And when you're doing exercises that are stressing you out, if it's too hard, it's actually going to raise your cortisol and make it harder for you to, burn off fat and to keep your inflammation down. And that it is important to do sprints because you want to make sure that you're pushing your edges, but you don't want to keep yourself in a stressed out place for a long time, especially if you're in perimenopause and beyond. So Stacey Sims is an amazing resource, and I would really encourage you to, if you see her come up on your socials, just see what she's saying, uh, and you know, have your own opinion, of course, but I'm just turning you on to her. Okay, cool. Mom says menstruation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're researching menstruation. Exactly. Oh, okay, next video. You ready? Let's do it.
Going to the gym doesn't have to get overcomplicated. I remember one buddy, he started a couple years ago, he's down 100 pounds. He would tell me, like, how do I start? I don't even know where to start. It's too intimidating to walk into this huge warehouse gym and know what the fuck to do. And I was like, all right, come over to my house. I'll put you through a workout. The first workout was like 12 minutes. And it was just an EMOM, like every minute on the minute. We had 4 stations. And I remember we finished and he was like, all right, what's next? I'm like, no, you're done. Go home. Like, that's it. Don't change your diet. Don't go out and spend $1,000 on supplements. Little changes. I was like, we're going to do a 12-minute workout every day for a week. And then next week, we're going to make it 16 minutes and then 20 minutes. Keep doing it until it becomes normal and then do a little bit more. Once you are doing decent workouts and getting a full night's sleep, then we can look at changing your diet a little bit. And once that's dialed in, then we can look at supplements. I think so many people, it's like as soon as they start working out, they're like, I need the best supplements possible. And it's like, dude, that should be the least of your concerns right now. You have so many other bases to cover. Going to the
All
gym.
right, what do you think? What do you think? I think different people are different about what makes them feel motivated, but I personally think this approach is really, really smart. And I know a lot of people will disagree with this. A lot of people will say, okay, I need to see results in the first 2 weeks or I'm going to give up. And I get that. I totally get that. But the thing is, if this is going to be about aesthetic results happening fast, then they're not going to last. And you're probably going to get some aesthetic results and then you're going to fall off and then you're going to want them again. You'll try again and then you're going to fall off. And if that's the process that you want to have, that's fine. That everybody gets to have their own journey here. So if you want to have a yo-yo situation going on, then doing everything at once and then falling away from it is the path to take. And if you want to have a sustainable lifestyle where you are actually making changes that last, where you don't have to have these huge backslides and you get to see sustainable progress that you can implement into your life that is going to actually stay once you make that change, what this guy's talking about is exactly the way to do it. It's like, don't try to change your diet and your workouts and add supplements and it's too much to change at the same time. So I think that this concept of just starting with shorter workouts that are very attainable and making them a routine, and once they're a routine, you do a little bit more. And once it's there, you do a little bit more. Or maybe now we start looking at your diet, or maybe now we start looking at your sleep or whatever. And then the supplements become like an optimizing and not the basis of the whole thing. Because it's the most important to have the strong foundation. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you moving enough? Are you eating healthy food? Like, is your lifestyle sustainable? That is the most important thing. What supplements you take is like the icing on the cake, you know? So I think this is a really smart approach, and I really appreciate the way that he said this. I've never heard of this guy before. I guess he's a CrossFit champ. I never heard of him before, but I just came across this video and I thought that it was great to share. Aaron says, I didn't want to go too hard and make it icky, which would make me quit. Yeah, I think that's also, I mean, completely legit, right? Because if you start too hard, sometimes it gets really intimidating, or you get really sore, and then you're like, I never want to do this again. That's not how I feel, but I think that I've seen that happen a lot of times. I definitely have. Mom says home workouts reduce body shame, stress, and compare yourself with others. 100%. I'm so with it with that. Yes. Aaron says yes. That's how he started slow, little by little. Right. Yeah. And that's how, it's gonna stick that way. So I'm all about it. All right, now let's get I'm not really a celebrity person, but I found this one and I want to share this with you. Okay, so check it out.
I see you working on Instagram all
Yeah.
the time. What are you doing? Because we need to know that.
I'm Tamsin. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. What I have learned now that I've gotten down the path of life, that I have to do things differently. I used to do a lot of cardio,
Yep.
right? Now I do no cardio. I'm trying to put muscle mass on. So I lift weights now. And I never used to lift weights before. I only did my own body weight and cardio and cycling and running. Now I just do pretty much boring, what I find boring, but it's necessary
Yep.
for this stage of life. Really just heavier weights than I've ever lifted. And I do it probably 2 days more a week than I used to.
I see you work.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not surprised to hear this. I think that this is Halle Berry, and I mean, she's clearly in good. She definitely. I mean, the movies that you see her in and that kind of thing, you can see that she has muscle on her body. She's not just skinny. And she says that she used to do cardio and now she's lifting heavy, right? So I think it's interesting to hear that she does not do cardio now. She does not do cardio. And I'm hearing this a lot from people actually, that they don't do cardio just for cardio, that they either do cardio for fun because they enjoy it, and or they get cardio in their strength training, but they're not just doing cardio for cardio. I also think that I love hearing from her how it's like as she gets older, she is lifting weights more. I'm really curious how much of this is because the trend of the industry has changed, and that when she was younger, it was the trend to do a lot of cardio, or if she just has the best trainers and they're like actually having her do the thing that's the best for her. I think the fitness industry has come a long way. Our understanding of working out has come a long way in the past like 20 years, especially. And so, I mean, understanding that cardio is cardio. Cardio is not necessarily going to give you the body that you really want is really important. The other thing to just say about this is like when you're younger, you can get away with just doing cardio because it's like your body just if as long as your body you let me just say this for myself. When I was younger, it's like my body already just had a certain amount of shape to it when I was younger and like a certain amount of muscle that I just already had and my lifestyle just it was easier to just do cardio, lose a little weight and I thought, okay, that's like good, right? Where now, especially as my hormones are changing, it's not going to work like that and my body is saving fat in different places and my muscle is atrophying because of my age at this time. So now I actually have to lift weights in order to just keep the strength that I just automatically had before. So anyway, I think that this is a good video and I would love to hear if there are any celebrities where you're like hearing fitness advice and you're like, what? I didn't want to shame anyone and put any of the bad celebrity fitness advice on here, but it exists. And there's some of this fitness advice I'm seeing from celebrities where they're like, why would you work out? Working out is, there was one I saw, I'm not going to say who it was. Working out is for, what it was basically saying working out is for poor people, and I have a doctor to help me with this. Okay. We'll see how that works out in the end. Okay, next video. Let's do it. Okay, so that said, I want to talk a little bit about Pilates. Pilates has been all the rage recently, and honestly, I personally like Pilates a lot. I really enjoy doing it, and I find some benefits from it for sure. And I've been seeing content that's been coming up lately in my feed saying things like, you don't need to lift heavy weights, you can just do Pilates. And so that is what I want to kind of address here. I have a couple of these videos talking about Pilates versus weightlifting.
To be honest about what Pilates cannot do, especially when it comes to changing your body composition or building real muscle. If your primary goal is to build significant muscle and get that toned look, boost metabolism, and dramatically change your body composition, you have to pick up the weights. Here's why Pilates will never compare to lifting weights for body composition. Now, as we know, muscle and strength is so important for longevity, for bone density, for mitigating injuries. However, a huge piece of why people work out, which is totally fine, is to change their body. If your goal is for aesthetics, if you want to significantly improve your body composition, meaning building lean muscle, increasing overall strength, changing the shape, firmness, tone, hot body, boost your metabolism, support your hormone health, Pilates is not going to replace strength training. It's just not. In order to build muscle, you have to consistently challenge your muscles with enough resistance to force them to adapt and grow stronger. We also need to be on.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Now, this video, I think one thing I want to point out before we talk about what she's saying here is I think that she's really back and forth across this line of aesthetics and health when she's talking about the benefits of strength training versus Pilates, and it kind of mixes the message a little bit. What she first is saying is like, obviously strength training is better for health, but if you want aesthetics, strength training is still better. But she kind of mixes the health in with the aesthetics. So I would say I 100% agree with her. You are not going to be able to replace strength training with Pilates and get the same benefits. You're not. You won't be able to. And that doesn't mean Pilates is no good. Pilates has a place, and we're going to keep showing other videos about this, about why you would want to do Pilates anyway. But like, if you are trying to change your body composition, so meaning like lose fat and gain muscle, it's not going to happen in Pilates. Anybody who tells you that is probably changing their own, either they were not exercising at all before, and this is my opinion, they were either not exercising before and going from zero to something is better than not, or they're doing it with their diet. Um, and that said, sometimes you need to do something else besides strength training for whatever the reason may be. So let's go to the next video because I think this one really kind of highlights this really well.
As someone who has been weightlifting for literally a decade and also has been doing Pilates for 3 years now, let's talk about weightlifting versus Pilates. I have swung from one end to the other. I have been the girl who lifted 5 days a week, who went super hard in the gym, who went super heavy, and then I switched to being just a Pilates girl for a period of time. So my body was puffy, inflamed, did not look good when I was pushing heavy constantly. I don't care what you say. I personally am not going to track macros and track calories every second of every day just to make sure that I'm starving myself enough to be super lean while lifting heavy, okay? But also, Pilates was not a magical cure for me. Yes, of course, at first when you start doing Pilates and only Pilates, your inflammation kind of goes down, the puffiness reduces, you can see the muscle a little bit better that you've gained through weightlifting, but over the long term you end up losing a lot of that muscle, and also, yeah, your appetite decreases, but it's like you get a different look to your body, you get a little bit softer. I personally have never looked as good as I have when I was walking 30 to 45 minutes every single day, lifting heavy 3 days a week, and doing 1 to 2 days of mat Pilates every single week. That is how you look hot.
All right. That's her personal recipe for her personal body. But okay, I think there's a couple, like, this is just some girl on the internet, okay? Like, she's not like an expert or anything. But I do think she brings up a couple of things that are really good for us to point out here. She said that she went from one extreme to the other. And I think that talking about that really helps to highlight what can happen when you're in one extreme or the other. She said she went from lifting really heavy in the gym 5 days a week, and that she was inflamed and that she was puffy. Okay, so if that is true, then that indicates to me that she was basically, her body was stressed out. And she also said she's not going to starve herself, and that, and all that, which is great. But I'm also curious, like, if she was eating healthy and why was she so inflamed? Maybe it was her lifestyle, maybe it was lifting weights, maybe it was that she's eating inflammatory food. So we can't know that information. But if you are in a stressful period of your life, if it's a season of your life where you are at your wits end, it it may be better for you to not lift super heavy, because it might actually be a more of a stressor at that moment. So if you have a week where the last thing you need is to stress yourself out more by lifting heavy, it's totally cool for you to listen to your body and adjust, right? So I think that that point that she makes is really, really helpful. I also heard her say that when she went and only did Pilates and didn't lift, that there were some things that happened. One of them was that that she kind of like slimmed down. And I do think if you stop lifting heavy, you might slim down. But what are you losing? You're not losing fat, you're losing muscle. So she basically lost a bunch of her muscle and lost a bunch of her strength from not strength training anymore. And then basically what it sounds like she came to in the end was a mix, and that she found a happy medium for herself where she does some heavy lifting, she does some Pilates, she does some walking, and that she kind of evened herself out of her pendulum string going from one to the other. So I personally see this as a happy story of kind of figuring it out over time. And I do think that it's really valuable to note that, I mean, Pilates, in my understanding, was created as a healing modality. It was created for dancers to be able to heal from injuries, especially of their spine, and to be able to make sure that they're building strength into large ranges of motion so that they are able to continue to dance and to be able to be strong and durable while they move through these huge ranges of motion that are required of dancers. So um, using Pilates as a way to improve your range of motion, to improve your strength through range of motion, and to improve, like, to help you come back from injury is a great way to use Pilates. I think that it is absolutely beneficial to include in your plan. And should that be your entire plan? Not forever. Maybe for a season, for a period of time while you're recovering from something, that would be cool. But forever, it's not gonna help in the way that maybe you're hoping. I have one more video that's maybe just like beating this over the head, but let's do it.
Pilates versus weightlifting. I've been consistently in the gym for 8 years. I'm a certified personal trainer, and I used to swear off Pilates. I used to think that looks way too easy. That's not even a workout. I moved to Dallas from San Diego and I wanted to try something new. I wanted to find a way to make new friends, try a new hobby, so I started doing Pilates. Also, my doctor told me my progesterone was too low, so I wanted to try a lower impact form of exercise and see how I liked it, see if it worked better for my body. So I started taking heated mat Pilates, and let me tell you, it is one of the hardest workouts I've ever done, and I've tried every form of exercise. I've tried F45, HIIT classes, nothing compares to heated mat Pilates. The biggest change I've noticed since taking Pilates for the last 8 months is that I can control my body so much more now. I used to be shaking like a leaf, flopping all over the mat. I was not graceful. But now I'm able to fully control my body, and I think that's the biggest change that I've noticed. Also, my stability has improved, my flexibility. Another big change I noticed is that my core is so much stronger and leaner. Every movement in Pilates is focused on core, engaging your core, controlling your breath. That's another big one. I hold my breath when I weightlift. I can't help it. And Pilates has helped me so much to learn how to breathe through my exercises. Incorporating both has been one of the best decisions I've made for my fitness journey. I just feel so much more well-rounded doing both because I'm able to focus on my flexibility and stability and slowing down and controlling my body in Pilates while also building muscle, getting stronger through weightlifting. So if you're a girl that strictly weightlifts and you have a big ego and you think that Pilates is too easy for you, I suggest you try. You'll be humbled real quick. Trust me, I learned that one. And if you're a Pilates girl that thinks, oh, lifting weights is gonna make me look so manly and bulky, I suggest you try weightlifting. You're missing out if you're not doing both.
Okay. I'm 100% with her. You're missing out if you're not doing both. I think it's the reason I chose this video is because she's really pointing out the highlights of what she's getting out of it. She's getting better range of motion. She's getting better control of her body. So for the purposes of balance, for the purposes of proprioception, for the ability to know where your body is in space and move through space in a graceful way, and even just so that you don't trip and fall and hurt yourself, it's super valuable to do Pilates. It just shouldn't be the only thing you do. Cool. Okay. Aaron says balance. Totally. Mom says good point. Balance is always the answer to life in everyday survival. Yes, I agree. Balance is always the thing. Okay, so I have a couple more. The other thing besides Pilates that I really want to talk about in here is perimenopause and menopause. And I feel like there are these, okay, there's like really wide ranging advice going on in the internet about this. And I would encourage you to really learn, if especially if this is the time of life that you are in, to really learn what goes on in your body during this time. It's more than just, oh, all of a sudden everything's harder. Oh, all of a sudden I have a belly. Oh, all of a sudden I can't like keep the muscle on my body and that kind of thing. It's more complex than that. And I see a lot of fitness trainers on the internet who are saying, okay, you're in perimenopause. Let's do this really hard, crazy workout. And they basically have a class, and we were talking about the zone 2 cardio, and they have a class where you're basically in the RPE, like the exertion range of like 7 to 8 for like an hour. And basically, they're just spiking your cortisol in that class. It's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. So I wanted to kind of point out some of the advice on the internet when it comes to perimenopause, and so we can talk more about this.
In menopause, it's so important that women go to failure. Muscle responds to stimulus. When you stimulate the muscle beyond what it's currently capable of doing, the muscle will grow. You want to be progressively adding more load and then progressively increasing your reps so that you are asking your body to do more than it's currently capable of doing. So if you can squat 40 kilos for 10 reps and that's all you do, your body goes, don't need to grow any more muscle because we have enough muscle to squat 40 kilos for 10 reps, right? It is so important to add more load, add more reps. And if you've got to the point where you're maxed out on load and you're maxed out on reps, then I want you to shorten your rest time. Women's bodies actually don't respond as well, science shows, to high volume training as men's bodies do. If you do all of these things, you will be progressively overloading the muscle, stimulating it effectively, and causing it to grow, especially important in menopause. In menopause,
Okay, we're kind of beating this over the head a little, but I think this is really good what she's saying. I love the way that she phrased this. If you're, I know she's doing it in metric system, I'm just going to convert it to imperial. If you're squatting, holding 20 pounds, and that's all you ever do, and your body's like, oh, I have enough muscle to squat 20 pounds, it's not going to grow more muscle because it already knows it can do what you're asking it to do. So you have to ask it to do a little bit more to the point that you almost can't do it, or you can't do it. You hit failure. That's why we keep saying go to failure, is because when your body recognizes, I don't have the muscle to do what's being asked of me, I better build more. And I think that she communicates that really, really well. She also brings up the thing that Andrew Huberman was saying in like that second video about how going heavier for less reps works better for women, and I do think that that is something to for us to highlight even more, even more. There's a bit of a balance to do with that with progressive overload, because if you're trying progressive overload just means making it harder and harder. So the first step of progressive overload is to do more reps. So if you can squat 20 pounds for 5 reps, the next thing you want to do is squat 20 pounds for 10 reps. I mean, however many is more than 5. And then you want to see if you can squat 20 pounds for 15 reps. I usually only go to 15 reps. I don't usually go above that. You could. And then I'm ready to go up in weight. So if I can squat 20 pounds for 15 reps, it's too light. And then I'm going up to 22 and a half pounds or maybe 25 pounds. So I think that she's really highlighting that you need to do progressive overload to build muscle. And in menopause, you're going to lose muscle unless you do this. And that you're better off doing less reps for women than for men. So going heavier in general is going to be a better strategy than just keeping increasing the reps and keeping increasing the reps forever. All right. I got one more video. Last one. Last one. We're going back to Stacy Sims. She's talking about menopause this time.
When I'm talking about high intensity interval training, I'm talking about 30 minutes at the most with the warm up and cool down. And in that, you have maybe 1 to 4 minutes where you're getting your heart rate up to around 80 to 90% of your max, or on a rating of perceived exertion of 1 to 10, with 10 being max. You're looking at about a 7 or an 8 for that interval. And then you have 1 to 4 minutes of recovery where you're bringing your body down to a really easy state before you hit the next one. And most people, when they start off, might do one interval interval of 2 minutes and they're like, oh, that was so hard, I can't do another one. And that's fine because we want to build up. But we don't want it to be 45 minutes where your heart rate is at 70% or your rating perceived exertion is at an 8 or 9, but in reality, it's the fatigue that's invoking that, because then you're squarely in that moderate intensity again. And what happens with moderate intensity is it increases cortisol. Now, some cortisol is good, but when we're in perimenopause, we are already in a very, what we call sympathetically driven state. So that means we're tired but wired. Our baseline cortisol is elevated. And when our cortisol is elevated, we have a stimulus to put on fat, keep residual inflammation, bloating, can't sleep, can't come down, can't relax. When I'm talking about high intensity interval training, I'm talking about.
Okay. So this is just reinforcing basically what we've been saying, but I love that she is giving actual numbers of how long for these intervals to be. She's basically saying that you want to be pushing to a 7 or an 8 RPE. Now, if you were in our walking classes, a 7 or an 8 RPE is our fast pace. So you want to be in the fast pace for 1 to 4 minutes, and then you want to recover and do it again, is what she's saying. That's what high intensity interval training is to her. What she doesn't want you to do is get to RPE 8 or 9 for a long time. So she's basically saying she doesn't want you to be wearing yourself out to the point where at the end you just feel dead. And a lot of times I will say that group exercise classes in general, and I'm totally guilty of doing this, especially in the past, in order to help people feel like they got the most out of my class, I want them to feel dead at the end of the workout. Otherwise, they kind of leave feeling like they didn't leave it all on the table or something like that. And that's not what she's advocating for. She's advocating for push it, recover, push it, recover, push it, recover. And that is going to be what's going to help you to actually get results, especially in perimenopause, so that you're not spiking your cortisol and actually making everything harder for yourself. So anyway, Stacy Sims again. I encourage you to follow her. Her handle you can see on the screen. I'll put it up for her. It is right here, Dr. Stacy Sims, 1M. Aaron says Fartlek Fest. Totally. Totally. Okay, so that is basically all the videos I have for you. If you have videos that you come up in your feed and you want to talk about them, please feel free to send them my way. I would be happy to do these by request. And if you have some video, whether you love it or hate it, if you send it my way, we can do a show of like your submissions of these kinds of videos. I think that would be really fun. And yeah, I think that'd be great. So send them my way. I always love getting videos, even if they're funny. I love getting videos from you guys anyway. All right, I got some quick announcements before we go. So the first announcement is that, first of all, we're in the Miles and Muscle Challenge right now. Here, I'm gonna have to share the screen. There we go. And share. Okay, this is our walk and strength challenge. It does the exact thing we've been talking about in these videos, which is intervals. So you walk a little bit, you do a little strength training, walk a little bit, do a little strength training. We're 1 week in. If you want to join, you totally can still join. For members, this is really cheap for you to join this. And you get to keep these videos on replay. So even if you miss the first week, you can join the second week and catch up on the first week after. But we're having a lot of fun with this. For those of you who are in this challenge, I really encourage you to get in the Discord and start answering the questions and stuff, because there's a bunch of conversation going on over there about, especially about locomotion and also about like where you're working out, because this is like walk and then, wait, am I sharing the wrong screen? I'm totally sharing the wrong screen. Sorry. It's like walk and then stop and do some strength training. So it's like, are you doing this in front of your neighbor's house? Are you doing this indoors? Are you doing this like in your backyard? So join the conversation, go over into the Discord. We all want to hear what's going on. And yeah, join Miles of Muscle. Okay, the other thing you should know is book club is this Sunday. I am leading this book club. It is on Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific. I hope you will come. It's Grandma Gatewood's Walk. It is basically a book about a grandma who walks the entire Appalachian Trail. I am almost finished with it. It is freaking fascinating. And we've already been having conversations about some of the things that are brought up in this book in class. So I encourage you to read this book. The audiobook's only 8 hours long. So if you really wanted to, you could probably still listen to that between now and Sunday. Just saying. Anyway, sign up for book club on Sunday and be there. Even if you didn't read it, you can still come to the book club anyway. And just so you know, the next book club that's going on for August is Requiem After Dark. And it says that it's by HT Chronicle, but who that is trainer Melissa and her coworkers. So Melissa wrote this book along with her coworkers. You can find a link to buy it and find the book at thenextfitnessthing.com/book club. And we have links to get the book. Melissa will also be leading the book club. So she wrote it, she's leading the book club, and she's asking her co-authors to come to the book club also. This is not till the end of August. So if you're somebody who always does audiobooks like me, and you might actually have to read this time because there's no audiobook, get started. Just saying. P.S. There are accessibility settings that if you really need somebody to read to you out loud, you could have it read to you with accessibility settings. Okay. And what else do I want to say with this? Oh, Melissa. So tomorrow is Saturday. I usually teach on Saturday, but we're changing it up this weekend. Melissa's going to teach tomorrow morning on Saturday, and she is going to teach her classes at least one of her classes that she usually teaches Friday morning really early. So if you've been not able to come to Melissa's class really early on Friday morning, you can come on Saturday morning and check out her walking and rocking class. There'll also be a stretch class. We also had previously canceled Casey's yin yoga on Sunday, but Kelly, thank you, Kelly. Kelly stepped up and she is going to be teaching yoga stretch at that time. So I encourage you to go and sign up for yoga on Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific with Kelly. All right, that's it. All right. So this was really fun to go through all these videos with you. Send more my way. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I would love to see what kind of videos are coming up in your feed and what you think about them. So let's keep talking about it.